Give it just a minute for everyone to come in from the meeting room. As a reminder, please mute yourself unless you are appearing before the board or are testifying. Good afternoon. This is the hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, April 27th. Today's hearing is being conducted pursuant to certain temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. This hearing will be recorded and will be posted to the city's website. Before we review some procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm chair of the licensing board. Today I'm joined by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon. We're also joined by our licensed premise unit, Lieutenant Detective Troy, Detective Hernandez, and Sergeant Detective Gallagher. Thank you.
Thank you. As a reminder, please mute yourself unless you are testifying before the board. Please ensure that your audio and your video is functioning. When you are called, you will need to be sworn in. So again, please make sure you can turn on your video. I will call each item in the order it appears on the agenda. I will read the item into the record. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee. I will then ask who is present from the Boston Police Department to testify. And I will then ask whether there are any other individuals with personal knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. After that, all parties will be sworn in. Again, you must be on camera. Following the swearing in, the police report will be read into the record. The licensee will have the opportunity to make a statement, followed by questions from the chairwoman and the commissioners. Calling Gira and Tambora LLC, doing business as Gira and Tambora, located at 4014 Washington Street. The date of the incident was July 26, 2020. Patron on patron, assault in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, Chapter 265, Section 13A. Failure to notify police in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, in Board's Rule 1.14b. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Yes, hi, my name is Felipe Duran. I'm the owner of the business
Thank
and
you.
manager in charge of that day.
Thank you.
Attorney Jennifer Allen for Gira and Tambora.
Thank you, Attorney Allen. Who will be testifying on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I see an Officer Anderson is present. Is that correct?
Detective Pitts
And Detective Pitts
Detective-
also.
from E5.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think Officer Anderson has herself muted here. There you go.
So, I'm sorry, Officer
Can you hear
Anderson.
me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
So Officer Anderson, and who else is present from the Boston Police Department?
Officer Jeff McGinn.
No, on this matter, Detective Pitts and Officer Anderson.
Are there any other individuals with personal knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Seeing no one, if all parties could please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but, Mr. Durant, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I will.
I do.
Officer and Detective, please proceed with the police report.
Would you like me to read the whole thing or?
Yes, please.
Okay. About 10 p.m. on Sunday, July 26, 2020, Officer Anderson, assigned to the front desk of District 18, took a walk-in report for assault, dangerous weapon, two-hit knife at 4014 Washington Street, Guerrero Y, Tamboree, Dominican Restaurant, Jamaica Plain, Mass. Ms. Bonstable Santiago, date of birth 9/13/1982, approached the front desk asking for an officer that speaks Spanish. Officer observed fresh scratches on Ms. Santiago's forehead and arm area. Lima 800, Detective Cardoza assisted with the translation. Ms. Santiago was crying and stated through the translation of Detective Cardoza that she had been having ongoing issues with a female identified as Miss Selena Ruiz for 3 years because of the way she looks. Other girls are jealous of her, and every time Miss Ruiz sees her, she bothers her. Miss Santiago stated she sees Miss Ruiz different places all the time, and Miss Ruiz does not like her. Miss Santiago stated she recently had problems with Miss Ruiz when she saw her in the hair salon selling stolen merchandise. She stated to her that she didn't like her stolen products and it wasn't right. Miss Santiago stated tonight at approximately 9:30 p.m. while she was inside the above, she went to the bathroom and Miss Ruiz followed her in the bathroom, stating to her, "I don't like the way you are." Miss Santiago stated after she left the bathroom to go sit at her table, Miss Ruiz was laughing and talking about her to another girl. Miss Santiago stated she approached Miss Ruiz. Miss Ruiz started laughing at her. She threw a drink at her, and then Miss Ruiz grabbed her by the hair and started punching and scratching her. Miss Santiago stated after the fight, Miss Ruiz stated to her, "When I see you, I'm going to kill you." Miss Santiago stated when they went outside, Miss Ruiz held a knife by her side and stated, "Come near me and I'm gonna slice your face," while pointing the knife at her. So she ran and security had to walk her to her car. Miss Santiago stated she was scared to go home because Miss Ruiz is bigger and stronger than her. So she drove to a police station and feels she has to move away from here. Officers observed scratches on Miss Santiago's forehead, near her right eye, right breast area, right upper arm, chest area, lower back area, and right hand. Miss Santiago complained of having bumps on the top of her head, neck pain, and a headache. Officers requested an ambulance to District 18 for evaluation. Ambulance A17 McKinnon Rossi responded to the station, evaluated Miss Santiago, and she declined any further medical treatment at this time. Miss Santiago described Miss Ruiz as a white Hispanic female, 5'8", 5'9", 170 pounds, black hair, black eyes, wearing a black polo shirt and blue jeans. Miss Santiago stated someone sent her a picture of Miss Ruiz plate, Mass Reg 5 Harry Kilo 542. Lima 800 Detective Cardoza took photos of Miss Santiago's injuries. Miss Santiago was advised to recontact police if necessary. That is a report.
Is there a supplemental report, including the licensed premise inspection notice?
There's a supplemental report. I didn't write that one though. You want me to read that?
No. Detective Pitts is present. She can
Oh,
read that.
okay.
Thank you, Detective.
Detective Pitts. I'm sorry, she may not be here anymore. Officer Anderson, if you could just read the supplemental report because you're sworn in.
Okay, the supplement report says, on Monday, July 27, 2020, Sergeant Detective Carl Stroder, Echo 983, and Detective Rita Echo 807 responded to 4014 Washington Street, Rosendale, Mass. 02131, Guerrero Camboree Dominican Restaurant. Detectives met and spoke with the owner, Felipe Duran. Violation was issued, patron on patron, assault, and failure to notify police. Citation number 063429.
Thank you.
That
very
is the end.
Thank you. Attorney Allen?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. So I'd just like to make note, this incident report was made by Ms. Santiago to the police after the actual incident had happened. No officers were actually there that witnessed this incident. When the officers did go to the restaurant the next day to inquire, Mr. Duran fully cooperated with them.
That's not true.
So I have Mr. Duran here that will also be able to speak on the behalf. The report that has actually been filed is based on just Ms. Santiago's report, and it's actually inaccurate. There's two witnesses. There should be another Mrs. Garcia, the manager, that should also be logged in, that is on the Zoom call to attest, including Mr. Duran. Ms. Santiago was actually not the victim, but she was the one that assaulted Ms. Ruiz. As Ms. Ruiz was leaving, Ms. Santiago was at the table right near the exit, and she is the one that actually threw a drink at Ms. Ruiz. There was a quick scuffle where she ended up on the floor. It lasted seconds. They were immediately split up by Mr. Duran and some others. Mr. Duran escorted Ms. Santiago to her car to ensure no further issues, and Ms. Ruiz left immediately as well. Mr. Duran mentioned calling the police. He fully acknowledges that he should have, but both parties left immediately, and the incident happened within seconds. It was extremely quick. Nobody was hurt during this. Everybody was checked. Mr. Duran made sure nobody was hurt. There were no knives used. There were no knives present in any of this. This report was not accurate. Mr. Duran also found out while talking to various other owners and people around that these two have a history of this and getting into arguments and assaulting each other. They are officially no longer allowed in this restaurant, and it's on record that they are completely not allowed. I know that in the letter for the violation, you were requesting video surveillance. I had submitted a letter last week in anticipation of this. Mr. Duran has a company that does all of his video surveillance. And even after the officers had come, he contacted the surveillance company to get all of the footage. Unfortunately, the footage was not available because of a lack of an update. And I submitted a letter from the surveillance company explaining that. We have ensured that all of the updates are completed. All of the videos are now working properly in order to make sure that the property is fully surveyed and all of the cameras are now working. Mr. Duran takes the safety of his patrons and his employees as top priority. He has had this restaurant, and he's been in here for decades now. He has not had any other violations, and which shows his dedication to the safety for his patrons and the community. He works diligently with the community. He's also in this community and works with the officers around and just keeping everybody, including the patrons and all of his employees, safe. He'd be more than happy to also answer any other questions that you have.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with personal knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
I can hear.
Seeing none, Chairwoman.
Hello, Detective Pitts, can I speak for a moment, please? I'm sorry. I do apologize. I'm having some technical issues here, but can I speak? Can you hear me?
Yes, Detective.
Pitts, yes. So I just wanted to speak briefly on that Monday when myself and Sergeant Detective Struthers had gone in to speak with Mr. Durant regarding the incident. You know, initially he stated that he didn't know anything, about it. He seemed very upset and very hostile towards us. And then he stated that, there was an issue, a brief discussion between two women who were having ongoing issues. And he had stated that he had captured it on video surveillance, and I had provided him a thumb drive so that he was able to transfer the data onto there. And so when I returned on August 1st, let's see, he told me that he was having trouble with the hard drive and that he had provided me with the name of an individual that handles his surveillance, a gentleman by the name of Junior. I called and contacted several times, never got a contact back. So we did issue the violation. This Junior person never responded. And so Mr. Durant said that he was his security systems specialist. So we don't have any video of the incident.
Thank you, Detective. Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. Mr. Duran, were you there that evening?
Yeah, I was here.
Okay, and do you remember these two patrons?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, one of them. I mean, he's not a regular customer, but he usually go by the restaurant once in a while.
Okay, and how would you describe their interaction with each other that night?
Basically, we were at the patio. I mean, Mr. Santiago was sitting near the exit next to the parking lot. I mean, Mr. Ree just was walking out on her way out of the restaurant, and it happened so fast. I mean, she just threw a drink on her, and she just quickly grabbed her by the hair and put it in the floor. Because we were so close, because they were sitting near the exit. We were there. I mean, in the way we see the customer and sit there where they're supposed to be, and we just circled the situation so fast. And I just grabbed her and I just talked to her and say, hey, what happened? What's going on? So I didn't know what's going on between these two persons. But after that, I found out they've been having issues for a while now. And I was so mad because we were in a bad situation that that summer because I mean all the restaurant was closed and all that. And I was so mad. And I was asking her, why are you taking problem, I mean, from outside into a business? You don't know how hard we've been working with our business. And I just escort her to her car. I didn't see any knife. I was surprised the next day when the police stopped by because I thought it was something that it wasn't even necessary to call the police because I mean we took care of the situation after that the detective explained to me, even though nothing happened, you gotta call the police. I say, yeah, that was my only mistake. And I take the responsibility of that, I said to her. But I was so mad that morning because we were in a bad situation. And thereafter, I mean, this incident happened. And I just asked her, I mean, this is gonna be happening to us right now. I mean, we're just trying to get it back in track. And these two ladies, I mean, you'll go into a business, get some travel, put all my customer in danger, you know that. And I was so mad, I admitted that. But
I understand you were mad and upset. How long would you describe this this assault lasting?
no more than 3 minutes. I mean,
3
happened
minutes?
so fast. Yeah, no more than that. I don't think it was more than that.
Okay. And you remember Detective Pitts coming in later on to talk to you?
Yeah, the next morning, I believe he was.
Okay. And you did say you would provide video, but then you didn't have any video
Yeah.
to provide?
Yeah, because I have a security camera, like I was planning to pay. That's what another thing I was so mad because I pay almost $15,000 for this security system. And I talked to her and I said, hey, I will get the video because I don't have any problem. I've always been cooperating with anything happening around this area. And even with the police, even though I can get in trouble for that, but I always been cooperating with that. And I say, yeah, I will get the video. When I come down to the office and I try to check, I have some issues because I don't see any video, anything. I call the guy who usually take care of this system and I say, hey, I don't have any video. How I can get the video? Can you stop by? He stopped by a couple of days after, and he said, hey, we were missing an update. I say, yeah, bro, I can see the video. They say, yeah, you can see it, but it's not recording anything. I say, you gotta be kidding me, right?
Okay. You know, this is an example where the video could probably help your defense.
Yeah.
And when the detective asked to speak to Junior, who was your security specialist, I think you should have made sure that he followed up with Detective Pitts there. I don't have any other questions. Commissioner
Not,
Carr?
sorry, I don't know if you did receive the letter, but I did send a letter from the surveillance
Yes, we've received the letter. Do
this week, just explaining it as well.
either of the commissioners have any questions?
No, thank you.
I do not, thanks.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Calling West End Dining LLC, doing business as Causeway, located at 65 to 71 Causeway Street. The date of the incident is March 1st, 2021. Overserved patron started disturbance, verbally accosted customers in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Yes, good afternoon. Carolyn Conway, 350 West Broadway, on behalf of the licensee. And then also with me today is Mr. Tim McCaslin, who is the manager of the licensee.
Thank you. Who will be testifying on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Jeff McGinn.
Thank you.
Sergeant.
And Sergeant King. Thank you, Sergeant. Are there any other individuals with personal knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Seeing none, if all parties could please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Please proceed with the police report.
About 8 p.m. on Monday, March 1st, 2021, officers McGinn and Daddy Echo Alpha K1 Frank responded to a radio call for an assault and battery at the Causeway Bar located at 65 Causeway Street in Boston. Prior to arrival, officers were informed via BPD dispatch that the 911 caller stated that there was a drunk man outside the restaurant who was harassing customers. The 911 caller stated that the man was a white male, 5'4" in height, medium build, in his late 20s, wearing glasses, a gray sweatshirt, blue pants, and white shoes. The 911 caller stated that the male was in the window staring at customers. Upon arrival, officers briefly spoke with a white male identified as Paul Fitzpatrick. He was wearing a black security vest who exited the Causeway Bar to speak with the police officers. Officers initially were under the impression that Fitzpatrick was security for the bar, but officers later found out that Fitzpatrick was not an employee of the bar. Fitzpatrick stated that while inside the bar, a short white male, later identified as David Bellevue, began arguing and swearing at a male and female couple while sitting at the bar. Fitzpatrick then stated that Bellevue was in the bar for about an hour, eating and drinking, and he seemed fine. But then, without any reason, he began yelling at the couple. Fitzpatrick stated that the couple had enough and left the bar. And then Bellevue began arguing and swearing at the bartender and other bar patrons. Fitzpatrick stated that Bellevue threw a bag of food at the bartender, which hit the COVID-installed plexiglass divider separating the bartender and the bar patrons. Fitzpatrick stated that Bellevue called one male bar patron the N-word. Fitzpatrick stated that he attempted to de-escalate the situation, but Bellevue was uncooperative, took a swing at Fitzpatrick, and had to be physically escorted out of the bar. Fitzpatrick said that while Bellevue was outside the bar, he kicked the front door, he punched one of the bar glass windows, and then fell on the sidewalk multiple times. Fitzpatrick stated that Bellevue left the area on foot towards Canal Street. While officers were searching the area for Bellevue, another 911 call was generated by Bellevue. Bellevue stated to the 911 call ticket that the restaurant owner kicked him out and physically removed him by the wrist. Bellevue stated to the 911 call ticket that he wanted a medical evaluation. Officers located Bellevue, matching the above physical description, who was lying on the sidewalk outside the Santander Bank at the corner of Canal Street and Causeway Street. Bellevue was holding his left wrist in an awkward position and stated to officers that he thinks his wrist was broken. Bellevue admitted to being inside the Causeway Bar, but stated that everything was peaceful. Officers asked Bellevue how a peaceful atmosphere produced a broken wrist for himself. Bellevue then admitted that he was forcibly removed from the bar, but he denied being intoxicated. Officers requested Boston EMS to the scene for a medical evaluation of Bellevue. Boston EMS arrived on scene to transport Bellevue to the nearest hospital, but Bellevue began giving the EMTs a rude and unnecessarily negative attitude. The EMTs gave Bellevue the opportunity to enter the ambulance, but they advised him that he was to cooperate and behave himself. After a very brief time inside the ambulance, it appeared as though Bellevue was unable to follow the EMT's directive to behave himself. As a result, Bellevue was asked to exit the ambulance. Bellevue had mentioned to officers that he left his gray bag inside the Causeway Bar. Bellevue stated that he was in the area because he was staying the night at the Onyx Hotel located at 155 Portland Street. Officers then returned to the Causeway Bar to retrieve Bellevue's bag. Officer McGeehan again interviewed and asked Fitzpatrick questions regarding the incident. Officer McGeehan also spoke with the bartender identified as Marilyn Israel, who confirmed the story given by Patrick, emphasizing Bellevue's poor and assaultive behavior while both inside and outside the bar. Israel also alerted officers to the fact that Bellevue had not paid his bar tab, which consisted of food and 9 adult malt beverages, each consisting of 16 ounces of beer. The grand total of the bar tab was $132.42. Officers were able to retrieve the gray bag which belonged to Bellevue. Sergeant King, the Alpha 915, arrived on scene to conduct a licensed premise inspection. While officers and Sergeant King were inside the causeway speaking with the bar patrons, Boston Police Channel 2 dispatch alerted the officers that Bellevue was again calling 911 concerning his injured wrist. Officers brought the gray bag to the Onyx Hotel in hopes of meeting up with Bellevue to hand the bag over to him. The hotel front desk clerk advised officers that Bellevue did have a reservation at the hotel, but he had not yet checked in. Officers contacted Bellevue via his cell phone number in order to track him down to give him his gray bag back. Bellevue stated to the office that he was outside the CVS store located at the corner of Causeway and Canal Street. Officers, along with Sergeant King, drove over to the CVS to relocate Bellevue. Officers observed Bellevue inside the CVS walking around. Bellevue exited the CVS and officers asked Bellevue if he needed any more services. Bellevue continued to complain about his injured wrist. Sergeant King requested Boston EMS to the scene to treat Bellevue for a second time. EMS Unit 815 arrived on scene and again advised Bellevue that the same rules apply and that they would need his cooperation if he were to enter the ambulance. Bellevue agreed to cooperate and enter the ambulance, where he was transported to Massachusetts General Hospital for further medical treatment and evaluation. Officers advised Bellevue to not return to the Causeway Bar tonight. Officers advised Bellevue that he did not pay his bar tab and he should contact the bar tomorrow morning to pay his tab. Officers informed Bellevue that if he did not pay his bar tab, that this may result in a criminal charge. Officers left a copy of the bar receipt in the side mesh pocket of Bellevue's gray bag. Body-worn cameras were activated during this incident. Upon further review, it appears as though this is not the first time Bellevue has been in the West End area of Boston generating a disturbance. In fact, on January 15th, 2021, during this prior incident, Bellevue's misconduct was also on display at the Indigo Hotel located at 280 Front Street. And that's the end of the report.
Thank you. Sergeant King, did you have anything to add?
Yes, ma'am. I wrote a supplemental report that states about 3:18 p.m. on Tuesday, March 9th, 2021, Sergeant Alpha 915 unit created a supplemental report relative to the incident that occurred on March 1st, 2021 at the Causeway Bar, 65 Causeway Street, Boston. Sergeant King reported that when he responded to the original incident, he did issue license premise violation number 459 to the Causeway Bar for serving bartender. That's.
I didn't hear the last part. It was cut out.
Sergeant, if you could just read the last two sentences, please.
My apologies. Sergeant King reported that when he responded to the original incident, he did issue license premise violation number 44529 bar for serving an intoxicated bartender. Marilyn Israel took custody by notice. That's the end of the report.
Thank you. Attorney Conway?
Yes, good afternoon again. There are several things. First off, we apologize. Miss Israel is on vacation out of the country and could not make it, but we did do an investigation, and we can report to the board that even though the tab had 9 alcoholic beverages on it, 5 of which the perpetrator here, or whatever we're going to call him, bought 5 drinks for another table. They were not served to him. Miss Israel reports to us that she was serving this gentleman, and he had 3 beers and had ordered a 4th, at which time she told him that his 90 minutes were up and that he would be getting his check at the as soon as he finished this and his food. And it's been described to us like switching on a light. This man just went crazy. I mean, he started to yell at other people in the bar. He eventually threw food at the COVID barrier. Mr. Fitzpatrick is security for the Boston Garden and is a regular of ours and was there that night. As you can imagine, on a Monday night, we weren't fully staffed with security. Mr. Fitzpatrick assisted our people in getting this gentleman outside. We, in fact, called the police and were trying to keep him in the area, but he was just so violent. He was kicking, we were afraid he was going to break windows, that he got away. But we just want the board to know that we had no indications that he was intoxicated. And the food was kind of hot and spicy, but that that Miss Israel reports to us that the 4th beer that he had was still on the bar. And so that he had 3 beers and did not appear intoxicated to her. And I noticed that Mr. Fitzpatrick said the same thing in the police report. So it was a bad actor and just didn't want to comply with COVID and get out after the 90 minutes.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with personal knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Seeing no one, Chairwoman Joyce?
Thank you. Is there anyone else here with you, Attorney Conway, that was working that night?
No, Mr. McCaslin, the manager, is here with us.
Okay, was he working that night or no?
No, I was off. It was a
Okay.
Monday night. Yeah, I was off.
Okay.
He was reported. Miss Israel after this incident, they did call Mr. McCaslin, who made sure that they had, reiterated that we call the police, and they had already said, yes, we've called the police.
Basically, they had called me and I was too far to get there. By the time he would have been gone, hopefully. And the regular Fitzy, if he couldn't handle it, I said, please call the cops. And that's
Okay.
what he did.
Do you know how long after the incident inside the bar he was removed?
Just about immediately. I mean, when he did the racial epithet, and then he threw food at the plexiglass barrier, that was it.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Curran?
Just two things. The patron that assisted you, he did describe that the patron had been harassing another couple for a period of time. Right?
As I said, we now have security on Monday nights where we did not before. Usually on Monday nights, we just have basically our, regulars. This gentleman was not a regular, but our regulars are there and they're eating, and we've had no call for security. So Mr. McCaslin has now put security on Monday nights just in case, so that we would have an optimal, right away be there with security.
And can you just describe, do you not have any more information about him? I mean, he had 4 drinks of his own, but he bought 5 for somebody else. Like, how did that come about?
We believe that there was a table of gentlemen from the sheriff's office, and that he bought them a round of drinks.
Yeah, I mean, from what I gathered, the guy tries to talk to people in there. That's why he was approaching the couple. He was sending drinks over to other tables, basically, getting in people's personal space. That's kind of how the bartender got attracted to the situation.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
I'm just curious, is this guy known to you? Has he been in the bar before? Has he ever presented a problem before?
I think they saw him one time before, weeks ago, and then it basically rang a bell. And now he's obviously, his name is in the scanner, and he's banned from here, so he won't be back here.
All right, thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling Macumba Latina Inc., doing business as Macumba Latina, located at 477 River Street. The date of the incident is February 22nd, 2021. 2 drug overdoses in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good afternoon. On behalf of the licensee, Macumba Latina, I am William Reary, that's R-E-H-R-E-Y. I am the attorney for the licensee. And with me here today are the owners of Macumba Latina. To my immediate left is Max Fernandez, and to my far left is the other owner, John Lopez, who is also the manager of Macumba Latina.
Thank you. Who will be testifying on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Lieutenant Detective Troy, I see that Sergeant McDonough and Officer Ford were summoned, but I don't see them on the call here, so I can be sworn and read the incident report.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Are there any other individuals with personal knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Seeing none, if all parties could please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you. You may proceed with the police report.
About 1:54 a.m. on Monday, February 22nd, Officer Ford and units from the Area B3 responded for a request of police at 477 River Street in Mattapan. On arrival, officers observed 2 males laying on the floor amongst a crowd of people outside 447 River Street in Baltimore. The officers believed that both victims appeared to be overdosing on an unknown substance. Officers to the area and allowed EMTs to render aid. Both individuals were actually, the second individual was administered Narcan, and both individuals were deemed viable and then transported to the Faulkner Hospital. And that concludes the first incident report. The second incident report is from March 30th, 2021, reads, About 2:30 a.m., Sergeant McDonough and various officers from Area B3 responded to a radio call for loud music at 477 River Street, Macumba Bar and Grill. On arrival, Sergeant McDonough conducted a code 35. Sergeant McDonough spoke to Macumba's manager, Jal Lopez, who was very cooperative and informed them that a code 35 violation was for the 2 drug overdoses that took place in the establishment on February 21st. Mr. Lopez stated that he remembered the overdoses and stated that he was there on the evening of February 21st, stated that the 2 males who overdosed on drugs had locked themselves into Macumba's bathroom that night. Sergeant McDonough then issued the citation. And that concludes the second incident report.
Thank you. Attorney Ray?
Thank you. Officer, looking at the supplemental report that was filed on March 20th of 2021, does it indicate that when the officers arrived, they heard any loud music?
Just one sec. I'm sorry. Yeah, actually, while on scene, Sergeant McDonough observed no patrons, just employees cleaning up. No loud noise or music, and good lighting.
Thank you. I have no further questions of the officer. Mr. Fernandez and Mr. Lopes were there that night, and they would like to testify. But before they do, I would just simply like to add the following. First, this is the only incident of drug overdose at Macumba Latina. There had been no other reports or incidents of drug overdose at Macumba Latina. Since this incident happened in February, the owners, Mr. Lopes and Mr. Fernandez, have posted security outside the restroom. Now, I should add, as you know, commissioners, the establishment is currently under an indefinite suspension. So when I reference to the fact that there's a security guard posted outside the restrooms, I'm talking between the incident in February and the closing, which occurred on March 29th. But again, they posted security outside to monitor and control access to and from the ladies' room and the men's room. Secondly, the owners have in fact posted numerous signs at the entrance and at the bathrooms and in the bathrooms indicating no drugs, but you'll automatically be banned from the premises if in fact they find out that you were in fact taking, that a patron was taking drugs on the premises. I do have photos of those signs. I don't know whether the board, I could easily email them to the board subsequent to this hearing, but the fact is that there are numerous signs posted right now at the establishment for that. As I said, Mr. Lopes and Mr. Lopez and Mr. Fernandez were there that night. And I would like to give them the opportunity under oath to tell the board exactly what they observed on that night. And I'll ask Mr. Fernandez to first testify.
Good afternoon, member of the board. My name is Max Fernandez, part owner of Macumba Latina. On Monday, the 22nd, me and John both present. I'm doing my 1:45 walkout. I was going to walk in, check out, make sure that everything is okay, and security is posted where it's supposed to be posted. I observe a male that I know, one of my customers, he been to the place like I know personally because he been to Macumba a lot of times. So I observed that he came out from the bathroom and he was passed out. He was laying down. So me and my security try to give him some water, try to give him some juice. Some people try to give him some cherry, something sweet. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know if he passed out because he'd be sick or something. After 5 minutes, that he didn't come back to him, I decided to carry him out, to put him in front of the door, just in case EMS come. It was fast work. When I was walking out, I was calling the police. When I opened the door, when I'm out in front of the door, the police was already there. A lot of other people I called. I observed outside another gentleman that was on the ground, and Mr. John was watching over him. And I had one of my waitress, and that night I had 4 waitress. One of my waitress was giving CPR to that gentleman. That I believe was, his name was, anyway, it was not Jean Carlos. I was taking care of Mr. Juan Carlos, and John was taking care of the other gentleman. I hold the gentleman his head until the MS came after like 2 or 3 minutes later. When they came in, they told me to release the guy, to let him to put his head on, his head on the ground. I did so. There were still people coming from Macumba, from the club, exit from that door. I stopped them so MAS can do their work, and I put it back, make them to use the back door, the exit back door. There was a sergeant, police officer sergeant that was in front of the door that helped me redirect the patrons, so they will go to the back door, so the MS can do their work. This is a new thing for us. This has never happened. We've never seen this. No, all the years in business, or 20 years in business, I never seen this happen. It seems like there's young people looking for some other kind of high. They're looking for something that is kind of crazy. What I did is I asked all my staff, maybe train, and we have trained it for CPR. All of us got to be learn how to do CPR, because it seems like this is not going to be the last thing we want to see. It seems like these young people are looking for some kind of high. Well, I said everything, and Mr. John got something to maybe go.
And with that, Mr. Fernandez, we'll turn it over to Mr. Lopes, who has just a few words he wants to add. He was there again that night and can testify firsthand as to what happened that particular night. Mr. Lopes, if you could just direct yourself up a little bit so they can see you on the screen.
Yes. Hi, my name is Juan Lopes, owner from Macumba Latino. The thing that happened at night, I was there. I was passed by, and his girlfriend called me for help. So we grabbed him each side. We take him outside, and I thought the guy was diabetic. Then I tried to give him some juice, orange juice, cranberry juice, milk, and it still wasn't move. So we call the police.
Did you stay with that gentleman until the police arrived?
Yes, yeah.
And did you stand back when the EMS and let them do their job?
Yeah, I stayed back.
And did you cooperate fully with the police that night?
Fully cooperate with police.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. No further questions or testimony from the 2 owners of Macumba Latina.
Thank you, Counselor. And I believe Sergeant McDonough was having difficulty with his audio. I just want to make sure he can, he's present. Sergeant, are you able to use your audio? Okay. As there are no other individuals to testify, Chairwoman Joyce?
Thank you, Leslie. I don't have any questions for the licensing.
Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
None.
Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Calling MYN Corp., doing business as Dublin Pub, located at 7 to 9 Stoughton Street. The date of the incident was April 3rd, 2021. Assault and battery with a deadly weapon in front of premise, patron shot in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good afternoon, William Gardner, representing the licensee. Present with me is Yaza Mohammed, who was the manager of the licensee and was also present on the premises on the night of the incident. We also have with us Joseph Hall and William Dunn, who are members of the private security firm who were on site that night as well.
Thank you, Counselor. Who will be testifying on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Ryan O'Leary.
Detective Eddie Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any individuals with personal knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Seeing none, if all parties could please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Officer O'Leary, do you want to begin with the report?
Sure. So the report says about 1:22 a.m. on Saturday, 4/3/2021, Officer Kerrigan, Officer O'Leary assigned to the Bravo 101 Alpha on-site and multiple shots fired, resulting in a person shot in the area of 7 Stoughton Street, Dorchester. Officer O'Leary and Officer Kerrigan were traveling on Columbia Road in the area of Hamlet Street, heading towards Stoughton Street, and marked Boston Police Cruiser 7523. Officers had their windows partially open at the time. Officers heard what sounded like multiple gunshots coming from the area of Stoughton Street. As officers approached Stoughton Street, they observed a large crowd of people running off of Stoughton Street towards Columbia Road. Officers notified Boston Operations Channel 3 that they had just heard shots fired in the area of the Dublin House, 7 Stoughton Street. Officers turned the corner onto Stoughton Street and continued to the area where they believed the gunshots had been coming from. As officers approached the area, they observed a male party who was being held up by 2 people walking across Stoughton Street. The male party, later identified as Tyrone Shepard, was being assisted in walking and appeared to be injured. The parties assisting Shepard were walking him towards New Jersey registration C76LHP, a white Toyota 4Runner that was parked on Stoughton Street. Upon closer examination, officers observed Shepard to have a significant amount of blood seeping through his clothing. Officers exited their cruiser and assisted Shepard to the side of their cruiser so they could tend to Shepard's injuries. At this time, officers heard what sounded like multiple additional gunshots coming from the area of the intersection of Columbia Road and Stoughton Street. Officers updated Boston Operations that they had heard additional gunshots and had a person shot. Officers requested Boston EMS to respond to the scene. Upon closer examination of Shepard, officers observed multiple gunshot wounds to Shepard. Officers could observe 1 gunshot wound to Shepard's left upper arm, which was producing a significant amount of blood. Due to the amount of blood coming from Shepard's upper arm, Officer O'Leary applied his Boston Police issued tourniquet to Shepard's upper left arm. Further evaluation revealed that an additional gunshot wound to Shepard's upper right thigh. Officer Kerrigan applied a Boston Police issued tourniquet to Shepard's upper right thigh. Officer Reynolds, the Bravo 412 Alpha, Officer Bamford and Karen, Bravo 103 Alpha, were on scene at this time and assisted with tending to Shepard's wounds. Boston EMS Ambulance A12 arrived on scene. Officers assisted Shepard into the ambulance. Boston EMS Ambulance A12 transported Shepard to Boston Medical Center for further treatment. Officer Merriam, the Bravo 431 Alpha, followed the ambulance to Boston Medical Center. Shepard was treated at Boston Medical Center by Dr. Patel and his staff. District B2 detectives responded to process the scene. Ballistic evidence was located in the area of 7 Stoughton Street, as well as in the entrance to the rear parking lot of Santander Bank, 585 Columbia Road. Also responding was Captain Conley, Lieutenant Detective Larkin, Sergeant Detective Moore, Sergeant Detective Levy, Sergeant Kizzo, Sergeant Francis, Detective Nicholas, Detective Plunkett, Officer Blandon, Officer Pena, Officers Telesnor and Dorseyville, Officers Foley and Flores, Officers Erico and Myers, Officer Donlin, Officer Merriam, Officer Yuka, and Officers Cooper and Flaherty. Officers observed New Jersey registration C76LHP to be parked directly in front of a fire hydrant, blocking access from Stoughton Street to the fire hydrant. Per Sergeant Detective Levy, officers requested a department tow for the vehicle. Always Open Towing arrived on scene and towed New Jersey registration C76LHP from the location on Stoughton Street to District B2, where it was secured in a fenced evidence bay. And that's the end of the report.
Thank you, Officer. Detective Hernandez?
Good afternoon. I'm going to be reading from police report, which I wrote on Monday, April 5th, 2021. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the BPD licensed premise unit, responded to the Dublin House located at 7 Stoughton Street to speak to staff regarding an assault and battery with a dangerous weapon incident that occurred on April 3rd, 2021. Detectives spoke to owner Yazir Muhammad, who confirmed that he was aware of the incident. Mr. Muhammad informed detectives that the B2 detectives had already contacted him and this establishment would be providing video to the investigators. As a result of the incident, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice
7724 for assault and battery with dangerous weapon, patron armed patron outside of premise. Mr. Mohammed signed for and accepted the notice. That's all. That's it.
Thank you, Detective. Attorney Gardner?
Yes, if I may, the security, the Dublin House has private security. On the night of this incident, the security folks heard the gunshots at the same time, apparently, that Officer Kerrigan and Officer O'Leary did. They heard gunshots in the area of the Santander Bank coming closer to the Dublin House. What they did at that point in time, it was closing time. They were in the process of ushering the patrons out. What they did is they locked the front door, both for the safety of the patrons, but also to primarily for the safety of the patrons, but it also served to allow the police officers to get the names and address of everybody who was on site that night. There had been no incidents in the premises that night. There are metal detectors. Everybody who comes into the place is frisked for weapons or any type of contraband. There is a well-staffed private security firm. They have no indication that anybody involved in this incident was on the premises that night. And as I indicated, they heard it coming from Santander Bank towards the Dublin House at 7 Stoughton Street. Once the police officers were on scene instantly, and once things settled down, they did come into the premises. They took the staff and Mr. Mohammed, who was there, cooperated with the police to provide access to all the patrons that they had left in the premises in order to provide names and addresses. Mr. Mohammed also cooperated with detectives that night and provided access to the video surveillance footage right away that particular evening. He's got a fairly extensive system, 16 different cameras, so that they didn't have enough time to go through all the footage at that point in time. As Detective Fernandez indicated, they did come back on Monday. This happened Friday night into Saturday morning. They came back in on Monday and Mr. Mohammed again cooperated with the detectives and has provided access to all of the video footage for that particular evening. The Dublin House hasn't had a violation or any type of incident of this nature for several years. They've been able to keep a tight rein on their operation, and we would submit that a violation of this nature isn't warranted. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions for the licensee?
I just want to confirm for the record, Attorney Gardner, either from you, perhaps from Mr. Mohammed, if he's with you, the
Yes.
people that that were involved in the shooting, were they ever at the Dublin House that evening?
I don't know. I really don't know. We didn't recognize
I don't
him.
recognize him. I don't know if he was inside or not.
We didn't recognize him. Nobody's indicated from the police officer review of the surveillance video that they were. Mr. Hall and Mr. Dunn, our security folks are with us today. Didn't recognize the fellow.
Okay. I have no questions.
Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
None.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling BDGA LLC located at 69 Canal Street. The date of the incident was March 4th, 2021. Persons under 21 in possession of alcohol on premise in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Sections 34A, 34C, and 64 to 64A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good afternoon, William Ferrell on behalf of the licensee. Also present is Michael Wyatt, who is the manager on duty, who should be on the Zoom, and Nick Federelli, who's the owner, should be on the telephone line.
Thank you. Who will be testifying on behalf of the Boston Police Department? Detective Hernandez. And are there any individuals with personal knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Sergeant Detective Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you, Sergeant. Could all parties please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Detective, please proceed with the police report.
Good afternoon. I'll be reading a police report which authored Thursday, March 4th, 2021 at about 10:30 p.m. Sergeant Detective Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the licensed premise unit. We're performing checks at bars and restaurants during the COVID-19 emergency. While walking into Bodega Canal located at 16L Canal Street, detectives observed a table of 4 female patrons drinking alcoholic beverages, a margarita pitcher, and 4 tequila shots. Detectives noted that these females looked young. Detectives asked them to produce identification to confirm their ages. 3 out of the 4 individuals stated they were under 21 years of age and produced various forms of identification confirming they were all under 21 years of age. Detectives were able to confirm the identity of patrons Alexander Rich, Amy Bocos, Sydney Bear, and Lucy Stone. Detectives asked the group how they obtained the beverages they had in front of them. The underage females produced fraudulent New York from Stone and Bear and New Jersey for Bocos driver's license that contained the individual's name but displayed a date of birth and it made it appear as though they were all over 21 years of age. Detectives used a license verification program which confirmed that the driver's licenses were indeed fraudulent. The fraudulent driver's license were confiscated by detectives. Staff at the Bodega Canal confirmed that they used a license verification program to scan the licenses and were aware that the 3 patrons had produced fraudulent licenses to the staff. The staff stated that they let the patrons sit at the table with the one person who was over 21 years of age, Miss Rich. It should be noted that another individual who was confirmed to be over 21 years of age, Miss Samoa Arbulu, along with Ms. Alexander Rich, will be summoned into court for procuring alcohol for persons under 21 years of age. These patrons ordered the drinks that were brought to the table. The 3 underage individuals will be summoned into court for persons under 21 possession of alcohol and possession of fraudulent identification. Detectives brought this situation to the attention of the person in charge, Michael Wyatt. As a result of what detectives observed, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued a licensed person inspection notice 004747 for persons under 21 in possession of alcohol on premise and service of alcohol to a person under 21. Mr. Wyatt signed for an accepted notice. That is all. And we do have all the licenses here that we confiscated that evening. That's it.
Thank you, Detective. Attorney Fruita?
Yes, make sure I'm on. Detective Hernandez, just a couple of questions. The women admitted that other women that were of age purchased the alcohol and supplied it to them.
Yes, eventually.
Okay, and the underage women, did they have drinks there in front of them?
They did.
Okay, and were they drinking out of water glasses, but they had drinks in them?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they had it. They had drinks in front of them. No,
Okay.
They were all drinking. They had shot glasses in front of them.
And there was also food.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I could introduce Mr. Wyatt, are you on?
How you doing?
Would you introduce yourself, please?
Michael Wyatt. I'm the Director of Operations for the group that includes Bodega Canal.
And were you working on the night of March 4th of this incident?
Yes, I was.
And did you speak to the police that evening?
Yes, I did.
And did you have occasion to tell them what the practice is at the restaurant as far as IDing people for alcohol?
Yes, we actually use the same scanner ID verification as they.
And did you verify that the women involved in this had all of their ID scanned?
Yes,
Do you know what the result of that was?
the ones that were confirmed underage by Officer Gallagher and Hernandez, we also confirmed underage by our scanner as well. And then the ones that were 21 plus were confirmed 21 plus as well.
Okay, and were the women who were underage served alcohol by your server?
They were not directly served alcohol by the server, no.
And who was the server that evening?
Her name is Gabriela Chavez.
And how long has she worked for you?
I'm sorry, how long she'd worked? She's been with us about 8 months to a year as a hostess, but she's a new server. We gave her a shot as a server. It's kind of tough to find some staff right now with COVID and whatnot.
How long has she been working as a server?
It's probably 2 weeks max at the time of the incident.
And is she still working as a server or is she back as a hostess?
After that incident, we took her off as a server just to get a little retraining, but she's still working as a hostess with us right now.
Okay, and you conduct the retraining yourself?
For the most part, yeah, I'm the operations manager, so I kind of oversee it. We have a general manager, but yes, I do oversee it.
Did you speak to Ms. Chavez?
Good evening, second one. Sorry, I feel like it's someone knocking at the door, but go ahead.
Do you want to take a minute? And
Yeah,
address-
if you don't mind. Sorry to bother.
Thank you. I guess those little signs saying on Zoom call don't work all the time.
I apologize. I'm at one of our other restaurants. The landlord was.
Let me call my husband on the phone here. Now that then he should be downstairs.
Okay, the phone's right there.
Okay.
Apologize.
Wait.
Go ahead.
To go back, did you speak to the server, Ms. Chavez, about that night?
I did, yeah, immediately afterwards.
Okay, and did she?
You tell me where I can do this, honey?
One more quick second, I apologize.
Not easy dealing with landlords.
All
You
right.
have to open that door for me.
I apologize again. She's a little bit elderly. So yes, I did speak with Ms. Chavez after the incident. We went over the whole thing.
Okay, and did she tell you what was served that night? Table?
Yeah, we went over the entire bill, how
You know, no one's
we went
answering,
about with
so I'm gonna have to do
you know,
this. I don't know
underage
what I'm
patrons
doing.
actually obtaining alcohol when she didn't actually directly serve them. So yes, we did.
Okay, and when you serve a pitcher of margaritas, do you serve a special?
At my house.
We serve the margaritas with the pitcher comes with specific glasses for the margaritas. So in that instance, at the table, when there were the 3 underage patrons, there were also 2 21+ patrons at that table. So we only put down 2 specific glasses for the margaritas for that table.
Okay, and the underage patrons were drinking out of water glasses, were drinking some sort of a liquid out of water glass.
Yes.
And have you now, as a result of this, implemented any new policies at Bodega with regard to the service of pitchers, et cetera?
When are we doing this?
Yeah. So to kind of prevent something like this from happening from, you know, someone at the table that's 21+ pouring a drink for someone that's not 21. Right now, we only serve, for example, at this table with someone under 21, we will deny them service of large format pitchers, drinks meant for more than one person, or shots, so nothing can be passed around. So if you're 21+, you just get one drink for yourself, and are not able to, you know, pour off for another person.
Okay, and since you are a Mexican format restaurant, have you taken any precautions for Cinco de Mayo that's coming up?
Yeah, for a while before this incident too, we talked about being a 21+ venue for that day. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with that.
Those would be all the questions. I would make Mr. Wyatt available to questions, and then I'd like to just give you a summary at the end.
Thank you, Attorney. Chairwoman Joyce?
Yes, thanks. Mr. Wyatt, how many glasses of drinks can you get out of a pitcher?
You had 4, so it's 2 drinks per person. So it's not in any violation of if there's two people 21 plus at the table, it's 2 drinks per person, so it's not, you know, more than that.
I don't have any other questions.
Just for the record, there was only one person who was 21 at that table, and they all had drinks. And then the other table behind them, who were all friends, it was a birthday party. They were providing tables, drinks to the other table also.
Sorry,
You
just
only have to
to
get up
clarify
and-
that. Just to clarify that, at the time the detectives walked in, there was just one patron 21 plus at that table. However, there were 2 initially at the table who ordered the pitcher, also some rounds of shots as well. So the underage patrons did not directly get served by us.
And they had scanned the IDs there and knew that they was under 21. They had given them the fraudulent IDs. They knew there were fraudulent identifications that were given to them, and they let them sit at the table with their fraudulent identification.
Correct. I mean, it's hard for us, you know, from a business standpoint to, I mean, also just like a customer service standpoint too, to if there's one person or 21 say, hey, no one at the table can drink, you know, we don't have that policy. But like I said, we do now have that policy. If there's someone under 21 that we don't serve any large format or shots or anything like that. But, you know, at the time, if someone's under 21 at the table, we can't say, you know, everyone over 21 can drink, anyone
Excuse me, sir.
under can't type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions for the licensee?
I will, yeah. Wait for him to get back. How would they serve the margaritas and the shots?
Like I said, they were at one table. The ones they walked in at where they said there was 1 21 plus and 3 underage. At the time of ordering, 2 of the patrons at that table were 21 plus. So the 2 that were 21 plus ordered a pitcher. The others with the fraudulent IDs attempted to order, they were denied service. So the 2 with 21 plus, they're very well able to split one pitcher because it's just 2 drinks each. So they did that. Shot wise, it was just kind of like, you know, they ordered 2, then another 2, then another 2 after. So it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't the server directly serving the underage patrons. It was the 21 plus patrons ordering drinks themselves at both tables and kind of passing them off and being a little bit deceptive. And again, too, I just want to reiterate too, this is kind of a new server, not
This
to
is
make
getting ridiculous
excuses
for me.
about our training or anything like that, but this is probably her first time kind of being deceived by, you know, underage patrons trying to pass off drinks and whatnot. Like we're not, it's not our policy to just let anyone in that's underage and serve the whole table type of thing. It's more so a couple of the patrons being a little bit deceptive and trying to get around that and taking advantage of like a younger server.
This is going to be iced coffee.
And Detective Hernandez, the pitcher and the shots, were they all full at the moment that you came upon the table?
There was still some alcohol in the pitchers, and there might have been something in those shots. I can't recall right now, but they were in front of everybody that was at the table.
Thank you.
Could you just give me a better idea of like where the table is in relation to the server? Like, does she have full view of the table, or is it behind it?
I don't have my,
Not really. I mean,
Can
we
I
have
use
an
your phone for
upstairs
this?
and a downstairs. So, you know, the servers kind of, it wasn't like they were just drinking in plain sight. They're
Right.
also pretty close to the host stand too. So, you know, like I said, they were being pretty deceptive. It wasn't just like they were, here's a picture and everyone's pouring it out type of thing.
As you walk in from the main door, the table was right in front of you. The 2 tables were right in front of you.
All right, thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement.
If I might, just as a summary, what I'd like the board to understand is Bodega, you know, has gone the route and obtained the app to verify, et cetera. What you have here is human error. We have a young new waitress who should have been more vigilant, knowing that 3 of the people at these 2
This
tables
isn't helping me, kid.
did not, in fact, have proper ID, therefore were underage, as a result of which they were able to get drinks from the other patrons. As we're saying, when the pitcher was served, it was served with 2 margarita glasses. What they were doing was they were pouring some of the margarita into water glasses and passing them around. The same with the shots. They would order the shots themselves, and then, you know, as the waitress left, they would pass the shot over to one of the underage people. We understand that. We've tried to implement additional policies, as mentioned, about not serving either pitchers or shots on tables where anyone of the party is under 21. People can still drink, as was mentioned by Mr. Wyatt. We can't say to people in a restaurant because one of the individuals is underage, we're not serving the entire table. And we would hope that it never comes to something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Ferrullo. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Calling CMG 10 PO Square LLC, doing business as Marielle, located at 10 Post Office Square. The date of the incident is March 20th, 2021. Failure to abide by governor's COVID-19 guidelines, tables of greater than 6 patrons at 3 tables. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Kristen Scanlon representing the licensee. Signed on with us today is Chris Jameson and Mark Malatesta, who are co-owners of the establishment, along with Joe O'Connor, who is the general manager of the premises.
Thank you. Who will be testifying on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective Gallagher.
Thank you, Sergeant. Are there any other individuals with personal knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Seeing no,
Detective Hernandez if needed.
thank you, Detective. If all parties could please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, I'm sorry, Sergeant Gallagher, you please proceed with the police report.
Yes, good afternoon, Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Boston Police. Currently assigned licensed premise unit of Unit May Boston Police incident report that I wrote on 3/20/2021 at 12:30 a.m. Sergeant Detective Gallagher of the licensed premise unit in PO Sandport, the Alpha 435 of BPD Area A1 conducted a licensed premise inspection of Marielle at 10 Post Office Square. This inspection came about because of complaints received at City Hall of the premise not following the COVID-19 guidelines. This complaint stated the premise was being run like a nightclub with a DJ and patrons staying over the 90-minute time allotment. Inside the premise, on the lower level, officers observed 3 separate tables that had more than the 6 maximum patrons allowed. Officers brought this to the attention of the manager, John O'Connor, who stated that he would take corrective action. There were no other issues found during the inspection. As a result of the issue with too many patrons at 3 tables, Sergeant Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice number 048187 to Marielle for failure to adhere to the governor COVID-19 guidelines, tables of greater than 6 patrons. Mr. John O'Connor signed for and accepted the notice. Those are the facts.
Thank you, Sergeant. Attorney Scanlon?
Detective Gallagher, were employees cooperative with the police the evening that you visited the establishment?
Yes, they were.
Thank you.
But
Chris, I know.
Yeah, so I don't, the facts here aren't in dispute. We have a strict policy of booking no more than 6 people per table when we do book the restaurant. The night that the detective Sergeant Gallagher came in was, there was basically a situation where a few of the guests were friends with guests at another table, had gotten up, had walked over and had sat down to chat. We didn't see it, we missed it. And so at the moment in time that the gentleman walked in, 3 of the tables did in fact have 7 people instead of 6 at them each individually. So, they checked the POS and reviewed how long the tables had been there. We're satisfied with everything else, COVID wise, but we didn't see those 3 people sitting at the other table. So those are sort of the facts from where we stand, and happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you. Chairwoman Joyce?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
None, thanks.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement. Calling J and K Blasi Inc., doing business as Blasi Cafe, located at 762 Adams Street. The date of the incident, the date of the notice of the hearing is March 9th, 2021. Informational hearing regarding non-use of license in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64. And for the record, this is the second hearing for non-use with this licensee. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Yes, good afternoon again. Carolyn Conway on behalf of the licensee, and also with me today is Mr. Kenneth Blasi, who is one of the principals of the licensee, and we're happy to report to the board that there had been some issues about buying somebody out doing some renovations, and during COVID, the financing that was going to handle that kind of fell through, but it's clicked back in. So I've been brought on in the last couple of weeks to we're going to have a little bit of a change of a floor plan. We'll probably have some change of beneficial interest. We've been to ISD with the plans, and it looks like we're going to move forward and hopefully be open very, very shortly. Or within a few, as soon as possible. Sorry, that's actually your office calling me.
Thank you. Mr. Blasi, could you just raise your hand for the record? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions?
I do, but first I'd like Leslie to explain for the record why we have these updates and why we don't want empty storefronts in neighborhoods and people sitting on licenses.
Absolutely. So under Massachusetts general law, the failure to utilize your license is not appropriate. It's considered what is commonly referred to as a pocket license. Once a licensee is put on notice of a non-use issue, they have a 6-month period under Massachusetts general law to cure that non-use. Curing the non-use means either transferring the license or reopening the establishment with that license in use. If they have not cured within that 6-month period, the board can schedule a cancellation hearing at which it may put the licensee on notice and cancel the license. Throughout COVID, the board has not been enforcing non-use for the vast majority of our licensees because of the impact of the pandemic on licensees. However, with this particular licensee and a number of others who are also being scheduled, there is a long history of non-use significantly predating COVID. And this licensee has been on notice for approximately 2 years, if not longer, that this non-use must be cured.
Well, as I said, we've got on. I've been looking at the paperwork. As I said, we've already been to ISD with the plans. The financing is now going through, and we're ready to commence and get it open.
Can you elaborate on that? I mean, this is like the second time, if not more, that we've had you here. I live in the neighborhood. I walk by the place every single day. I get calls from neighbors asking what's going on there and why we are allowing them to remain closed without them doing anything. So can you elaborate? I think the last time you were here, you had your architect with you and it was ready to be going on then, to be opening up soon.
Walk by and look at the property and wonder what's going on, and then they can assume their own, opinions on what we're doing. So we were a partnership, myself and my brother, and we waited a year for insurance to go through, unaware on how to handle, a fire and a loss of business and a complete shutter of the building. We lost 5 tenants along with the restaurant. So for 3.5 years, I've been unemployed. I've been trying to get this going. My brother Joe, after the insurance proceeds were released, the bank took the money and paid the mortgage we had from doing the build out and opening we had done 18 years previous. And we ended up, we own the building. So that was the best thing that came out of it. So we're lucky to, have that. He decided to get out because he didn't want to go through he just was done, with the procedure of trying to get the drawings done now. So I moved forward. He got a lawyer. I did all the plans, got them approved with ISD, the restaurant and the building, proceeded to work out an agreement with him. We came to an agreement a year ago, February. And when I submitted all my plans and the whole project with an SBA 504 loan approved for half of the amount, I submitted it to Mansfield Bank, And within the 2 weeks, they had shut down because of COVID. And so for a whole year, up until it's over a year now, I've gone through 20 banks. I've been struggling through this. The building's empty. There's one temporary electricity, one box in the building, keeping a pump running in the building. And so now finally a bank I had dealt with last August is ready to re-entering. It's in underwriting right now. Only because of the vaccines that are out and that the restaurants came back to, 100% seating, but not, without it, they're still skeptical, but they're moving forward. So no banks wanted to make any move with a restaurant involved because the whole project was wrapped around the restaurant because I'm the owner occupied and the SBA loan was approved. So it held me up from, that's it. I really don't know how else to explain it. It's awful. That building has my dad's name on it. We've been there for 80 years as a family. We had given to the neighborhood all these years, 20 as a restaurant, almost 50 as a hardware store. So I'm at my wit's end, believe me.
No, and I'm just trying to get as much information as possible so that we can understand what's going on. We have an obligation to call you in here before us with these hearings. So right now it sounds like you're finishing up the financing. You do plan on reopening as a restaurant in the space that you were occupied in before?
Yes.
And are you looking for new tenants for those other spots?
I actually have, Counselor Conway we had just gone through a letter of intent. Carolyn, if you want.
Yes, we're actively looking. We have someone who is in the real estate business, a real estate broker, and we're trading a letter of intent. So we're actively marketing the building, and we believe that we will be entering into this lease with the real estate broker. We're looking for other tenants as well.
Okay.
And we're also interviewing. We've been talking to contractors to get it going, because as soon as the bank came back, we started up everything to start getting this project going again.
Okay.
Well, I've had a contractor who's been involved with me since the plans have been approved. Tom Baven. We've been in contact once a week at least. He's still on board to move forward as soon as the financing comes through. So I'm chomping at the bit. I don't know what to say.
Okay. I don't have any questions. I'll turn it over to the other commissioners, but I do wish you luck. It's I know your family's been involved in that corner for years and years. Please keep us posted on the timeline.
Definitely.
As you move forward. And Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon?
Nothing further from me. Thank you.
Yeah, it was just, did the bank tell you how long the underwriting process would take?
Well, I started back up with them almost a month ago. And because of, the legal process for my brother, they were inquiring, and the email this past week was that from the beginning process, it could be up to 60 days. So hopefully we would get an approval by the end of, no later than the end of May.
All right, thank you very much. As the chairwoman said, please keep us updated as you move forward, and the board will take this matter under advisement. Those are all the items before the board today. Thank you very much.
But I have one more, I'm sorry, just in the process with the bank is similar to what we're going through here. They're in once or twice a week. They connect once or twice a week. They're completely overloaded with the PPE, everything involved with the federal government loans. And so everything's just been, obviously everyone's aware of.
It's a slog.
Yeah, so that's it. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank